Welcome, Royal Ugly Dudes, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Review from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And tonight, we are covering another one of our review blind spots, a movie that we actually had to go back and look and say, no, we haven't reviewed this movie yet. And that is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
By far one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone's got like those movies that they don't actually need to watch. They can recall the whole thing in their head.
Gotcha.
This is one of mine.
This is one of yours. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm assuming you watched it this week then, or did you just replay the entire movie in your head this week?
I could have. I watched it yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, I watched it like Sunday, I think. It was weird because I watched this right after I watched John Wick 4.
Two very different Keanu Reeves.
Two very, very different Keanu Reeves movies.
Oh, have you heard that theory that John Wick is
Ted
if he'd gone to military school?
No, I haven't, but that makes all the sense in the world. Badass killing machine. So, yeah, I mean, I remember when this movie came out. It was like one of those movies that, like, you just on the surface didn't feel like a hit, but apparently was a huge hit. But it was a late winter hit, so it's almost like
February 17th, 1989, which usually movies released in like the January and Februarys are kind of that's known as the dumping ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one pulled in 40.5 on a $10 million budget, so that's not bad.
Yeah. And it also, I mean, the thing is also, and you can, there's a better backstory to this movie that you can listen to. Verbal Diorama.
Yeah.
M recently just did Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
And I had no idea about.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot going on there. Distribution was one of those. This movie was made, 18 months? It was completed 18 months before it actually got released.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. Because I know it takes place in 1988. But the movie was released in 1989. The other thing, too, that I think can be forgiven is that 1989 is considered one of the best movie release years of the 80s.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, you think of that amazing summer. You think Batman. You think Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Ghostbusters 2, Lethal Weapon 2, Young Einstein. Those are all part of the 1989.
Is it though? I mean, UHF, yes.
Yeah, UHF, absolutely. But this is one of those movies that I feel got kind of overshadowed. Now, another thing with this movie too, which is kind of interesting about its legacy, is that home video was a very difficult find for this. This movie got its regular rental release, but it was Yahoo Serious Film Festival. Can you name the other movie?
No, I cannot.
But I remember, working at Adoptive Video, and we had one copy of this movie.
Wow.
It wasn't the kind. I mean, it was always out.
Yeah.
But it was because there was only one copy, because this thing stayed at $100 forever.
Wow.
And then it went away. Kind of like Better Off Dead. The movie just kind of like lost a distribution because, I think, was it released by Orion?
No. Nelson Entertainment.
Okay. And the distribution got all messed up.
Yeah.
With the movie. And so it took forever for it to become available on home video, especially for like that sell-through market.
Yeah. And I know we either rented it continuously on VHS or bought it, but I remember watching the hell out of this movie when I was, because I didn't see it in theaters because I was back during the time when my parents didn't let us go to theaters.
Yeah,
which wasn't broken until Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Okay, Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah.
It's just, what's weird about this movie is that this, because I missed it in the theater. I couldn't get my hands on it on video. And like one of the guys that I grew up with constantly was pronouncing Keanu Reeves' name wrong. He kept saying Keanu. And he kept correcting us when we say Keanu. I saw it like spelt phonetically in Rolling Stone. And he's like, no, it's Keanu.
No, it's not.
No, that's wrong. So based on like a lot of like little underlying petty reasons, I didn't really have a taste for this movie, which I don't know if that affects my enjoyment of the movie now. I mean, I will admit in the last 3 years, I've watched this movie more than I have in my entire life. And it's mainly because, I had I viewed it for this, but I also watched it with my daughter. I watched it with my wife not too long ago. And it's a fine movie. It definitely is, in a lot of ways, like John Wick. It's like a very fancy bologna sandwich. There's not a lot of substance there, but you have a good time while you're eating it.
I think it's deeper than you give it credit for, but okay.
Well, I mean, it's so. Here's the thing, too. I am not going to be like, I'm not going to go all histrionics on this. I'm in on the joke. I'm in on how eager these figures into history are to, work with Bill and Ted.
You know what? Once they get captured, they're like, the hell, I might as well just go along with the ride.
Right. Exactly. And none of that will affect history whatsoever.
Yeah. This is one of the few time travel movies that are like, time travel rules, schmime travel rules. Who cares?
Seriously. It really doesn't affect anything other than Bill and Ted's immediate future.
Yeah. And plus, if you actually spell out the plot of this movie, it sounds utterly ridiculous on every single level.
Just like Die Hard.
I think this is better. This is worse than Die Hard.
Yeah.
Two slackers.
Yeah.
Who are not all that bright. Their music transforms the future into utopia. So in order to keep that going, the future sends a time booth back to them so that they can collect historical figures for their history report.
Yeah. And George Carlin,
yeah,
in a completely non-George Carlin role,
but one that he's very much remembered for.
Yeah, and that's really funny too. And the interesting thing about that too is that he's not in a lot of this movie.
No, I would say he's in less than 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
easily.
Oh, easily. And it's funny, like, for a guy who was just kind of like that way out comedian, having to kind of talk at the Bill and Ted level.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. It really is. Now, I noticed that you stopped yourself from saying stoner and went straight to slacker, which is good.
Yeah, because they're not stoners would never go through this kind of effort.
Oh God, no.
But they're not really even like surfer dudes because they don't surf. They're just kind of not that bright. Like they're kind of your stereotypical rock stars, actually. Kind of,
yeah. I mean, they're definitely slackers.
Yeah.
They are insanely lazy. I don't think you can argue against the fact that Bill and Ted are lazy. And the only, it's only at this desperate moment when they're presented with a time machine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the only kind of energy they have is trying to get their band together.
Right. Exactly.
For the wayside.
Exactly. And that's the funny part about this too, because you think of this, and I know how much you love this soundtrack. I know this is one of your favorite soundtracks of all time.
And it was also the very first.
You're digging it out, aren't you?
It was the very first CD I ever purchased.
Really? Did you find it?
Right here.
Ah, okay.
And look at this. That was when I bought it.
Yeah, that means it was used. You bought it as a UCD.
I bought it on at a music store on Martha's Vineyard.
Okay. You found it. You had to have it.
I believe I bought it before I even had a CD player.
I was just going to ask.
I think I just had a cassette player, but I was like, I need to have that soundtrack.
Yeah. So the really interesting thing about this movie is, for a movie about two guys who want to start a metal band, and there's a lot of metal, heavy metal overtones in this movie, this soundtrack is not what I would consider to be a metal soundtrack. In fact, it's almost like the screenwriters kind of knew a few buzzwords. It's like, we'll throw Eddie Van Halen's name in here. We'll throw the word Iron Maiden in here. But most of most of it sounds like that late 80s movie music. I wouldn't have been like Breakaway. I would have figured that song could have very well have featured in License to Drive if it hadn't shown up in Bill and Ted.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, just looking over the track listing here, the only songs that I would really consider to be like outside rock would be Dangerous, and that's what's played when they first meet Missy.
Yeah.
And maybe Two Heads Are Better Than One.
Maybe.
I mean, it does start with that really nice guitar riff when they meet Joan of Arc.
Right. But again, you see what I'm saying, though. It's a very, I'm not knocking it. It's just, it's very interesting that it's a movie about two guys who love music. And it seems that the people in charge of making this movie almost were unfamiliar with what music is at the time.
I mean, to be fair, my favorite songs off the soundtrack are the slower songs like Breakaway, and In Time, one that's played in Future.
Right. So interesting story about that. Can you name the bands that the three Future Elders were in?
Oh crap! I looked it up like just the other day, but off the top of my head I can't think of them.
Okay.
But I could bring it up on Wikipedia, but I'm pretty sure you know them.
I know already. Yeah. Okay. So Martha Davis from the Motels.
Mm-hmm. Don't know them.
Steve Waybill from the Tubes.
Oh, I've heard of the Tube. He was the guy on the right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then
in the center was the big man, Clarence Clemens from the E Street Band.
The other ones I wasn't sure about, but that one I remember.
Honestly, I thought We Would Care a Lot would have been featured in the movie. I'm trying to remember, did that come out in 88? Was the song released in 88? I mean, I know it's a song that exists in terms of the late 80s Faith No More. It came before Epic. But realistically...
I've never even heard of that song before.
We care a lot. We care a lot.
Let me see.
About the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marines. We care a lot.
Okay. 87 was We Care a Lot.
Okay. It could have very well have featured in this. Didn't. Yep. 85.
Okay. Well,
damn.
I just saw the music video came out in 87. So.
Right. Well, I mean, at that point, Faith No More was still kind of there. Like, they were just kind of like one of those indie fusion metal bands. Epic is what made them, like, MTV stars.
Yeah. I think their album might have come out in 85, but actually that song did, that one charted in 87.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
When I say chart, it hit 40 on the New Zealand chart and 53 in UK.
Never charted here in the States, huh?
Never charted here.
And now it's on the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 soundtrack.
Oh, that explains why I'm not sure about it, because I still haven't watched that one yet.
Oh, okay. It's on Disney Plus, man.
I know. Sorry, I've been just so into One Piece. That's a great show.
But we, back to Bill and Ted. It's an interesting movie. We haven't really talked too much about the actors involved. I mean, this is where Keanu Reeves just kind of got the Keanu persona.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm not being too cruel, dogged him for, or would you say dog starred him?
I'm assuming that's a movie reference.
No, that's the band. That is his band, Dog Star.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I would say that dogged him for decades.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen any of the John Wick movies, so I can't say for them. But every other role I've seen him in, it's just me. I'm watching. Okay, Keanu Reeves, and then he has that one moment like, "Hi Ted, I saw you."
Yeah, even like, I mean, like the movies he did in the '90s, where he's just a stoic version of Ted. I mean, essentially, Jonathan Harker is Ted with a frilly laced cravat going to Budapest.
His cop in Speed. There's this one point where like he's confronting that like kind of mugger on the bus or whatever. He says like, "I don't know you, dude." I'm like, "Hi, Ted."
Yeah. Yep. It has a way of appearing, except for John Wick.
Yeah. I mean, even Neo.
In that movie, The Gift, that he was in, where he played a racist, and it was like, for a guy who is a genuinely amazing human being, it was really off-putting hearing him use the N-word. It was
I can see
really, and it was done in a kind of way. It was just like, okay, hey, red flags. I'm racist. If you haven't seen The Gift, it's really only known for that one scene that they also showed in Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle with Katie Holmes's boobs. But Alex Winter, I almost feel like he might be the glue that holds this movie together.
He certainly talks much more intelligently than Ted, but it's more like using big words just to use big words. I don't know if he actually uses them to sound smart.
Right. But I feel like he's got more of a bead on reality. Maybe not in the moments, but he does come to it. Death Wish 3, Alex Winter.
And the Lost Boys.
Well, and the Lost Boys, yeah.
But yeah, I guess I was looking this up. When he was a kid, he was in a lot of like theater productions, and I guess he was kind of bullied for that. And that gave him such like intense like PTSD for acting that really after Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, he pretty much pulled back and went behind the camera for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he directed a movie.
Yeah.
I think it was called Freaked.
I believe he's also done a few documentaries.
Yeah. No, he's definitely, and I loved watching him in Electric Boogaloo, the Canon film story. I loved watching him because dude literally has no fucks to give anymore, which is great. But just watching him, it's like he can do the goofy thing, but he was always the one to anchor everybody back. Especially towards the end, when it's just like, all the stuff that they did, maybe we should learn how to play our instruments.
Ted said that.
Was that Ted who learned this? Okay.
Yeah. Bill said, well, maybe we should get Eddie. That's why we kind of need to get Eddie Van Halen. Ted's like, maybe we should learn how to play first. Trust me. I know.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to doubt you on that. I will say, though, those two guitars that Rufus brought them are so shitty.
I'm hoping that they had like auto-tune themselves because they're from the future.
No. So those guitars actually did exist. I mean, you watch any metal video in the 80s, and, always some dude there with like the headless guitar because you tuned it from the bottom.
Oh.
Yeah, they were underneath it. But those things had like crap pickup. They looked cool. It's kind of like, the Warlock guitars that like the real like leather metal dudes used to play. It's like, yeah, that looks cool. It sounds like shit.
I mean, to be fair though, Wild Stallions didn't know how to play anyway, so it
That's
was
true.
Like
Exactly. But it's about as silly looking though as like Marty McFly's guitar, the very beginning of Back to the Future, that tiny ass little thing.
What I mean, maybe they did because Michael J. Fox is not a small man. Maybe they got him a ukulele.
No, it was definitely a guitar, but it looked like a child's guitar. Like you can actually get guitars for smaller hands.
Actually, because Michael J. Fox was so short, maybe they couldn't have gotten him a full size one because it would have looked ridiculous on him.
No, he played that. He played that. I think it wasn't a Gibson. I think it might have been Les Paul that he played during
Trying to Be Good.
Johnny Be Good.
Oh.
That was a full size guitar, so it's okay. Yeah. Now I'm talking guitars. But the supporting cast in this, we talked a little bit about George Carlin. It's interesting. Apparently, the princesses have never been played by the same two actresses in any of the movies.
Okay.
And it was a Gretsch. Which one, Kurt? The air guitars or the Johnny B. Good guitar?
Yeah.
You just pop that in there. But what's interesting is the brunette princess.
Mm-hmm.
She played the French exchange student in Better Off Dead.
I knew she had done something else. So I don't know what the blonde princess did.
Probably not much of anything other than probably like nudie horror films of the late 80s. Mm-hmm. Diane Franklin also appeared in Electric Boogaloo as well. Oh, it's 1955. Okay, thank you. It was a Gretsch. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so Diane Franklin also showed up in Electric Boogaloo because she was like the girl prize in The Last American Virgin.
Oh.
So, cool. And then we've got our cast of historical characters. Billy the Kid, played by the guy who played Ram in Tron.
Holy crap, you're right.
I looked them up on IMDb.
Well,
the weird thing is IMDb doesn't do a good job of listing out everybody.
But now you say it, though, I can see Ram's face. I'm like, that is Billy the Kid.
Yeah. Socrates, was played by the guy who was the waiter with the fancy mustache in Scrooged.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sir. That's baked Alaska. I don't think you'd want that for lunch. Sigmund Freud, I'm not familiar with any of his other work.
Jane Wiedlin.
Yep. Guitar player for the Go-Go's was Joan of Arc. It's what's that?
Genghis Khan.
Al Young.
Yes, if you've seen an 80s movie, he's the Asian guy.
Yes, if you've seen a Joel Silver produced action movie made in the mid to late 80s, you've seen Al Young. He has played every type of Asian henchman known to God. He is the guy who is eating the candy bars
in Die Hard.
Die Hard.
He was also in Lethal Weapon, wasn't he?
Yes, he was the guy who tortured. It was interesting too because he's the one who tortured Mel Gibson, which I could always go for more of. And then after he's kind of done torturing him, and they think Rick's passed out, he's talking to Gary Busey's character, but he talks like this. And it was just like
they actually gave him lines.
They gave him lines, and his line. He's got a high voice. He's like Ray Park. He's got a high voice. And but the thing is also, it's like it's free of an accent too.
Yeah, he was also one of the either good guys or bad guys during the street fight in Big Trouble in Little China.
Yes, I think he was one of the good guys actually.
Okay,
so he's done a lot of stuff. He's still around. He is still beloved. Die Hard, Big Trouble in Little China, Lethal Weapon, and Godzilla 1990. Oh, Jesus.
I didn't know that one, and I'm sorry for him.
I didn't. That was 25 years ago. I should probably go back and watch that at some juncture just because. I know. I saw it opening night.
So did I. And I've never watched it again since because I love Godzilla movies, and that one just broke my heart.
It was Jurassic Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it was all in all. This is a fun movie. It's outside of that one line.
Oh yeah.
During medieval times, it still aged very well, not very problematic at all.
Mm.
I mean, especially, I mean, the creepiest part about that movie, realistically, is Missy, I mean, Mom's relationship with Bill's dad. And the fact that they actually, we kind of know this for a fact, had sex in Bill's room after he sent them away.
Yeah. But that does set up one of the best, like, kids won't get it, but parents will jokes.
Yeah.
The minor Oedipal complex.
Yep.
And then the look that Missy gives the teacher.
Oh, she had sex with Bertie Casey.
Oh,
trust
absolutely.
me, she had sex with Bertie Casey.
Mr. Ryan, tell him hi. They had sex.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Missy gets around. Now, the weird thing is like the fact that she's 5 years older than Bill, but she's like telling him about all the chores that he's got to do. What does she do? She shops. She either shops for groceries.
I think she's only 3 years older than them.
That you're right.
Because
you're right, because Bill wasn't a freshman.
Yeah, Ted said, remember when she was a senior and we were freshmen? So yeah, 3 years older.
Oh, jeez.
I want to say in the second one, it's been a while since I've watched Bogus Journey.
Yeah.
I believe she's married to
Ted's dad. Yeah.
She gets around.
Yeah, and every time they cut to Bill's dad, he's just like sitting in a corner, just quiet and depressed. The interesting thing too about the characters of Bill and Ted is that they're not losers per se. They're not like outcasts in high school, nor are they super popular. They just kind of are.
Yeah. They'll say like stupid things in class and everyone gets a chuckle.
Yeah.
Who is Joan of Arc? Noah's wife. That was great. Come on.
Yeah. You know what? We left off one of our time traveling companions.
Oh, yeah?
Napoleon.
Oh, who played Napoleon?
I'm not. Yeah, if you want to look that up, feel free.
Yeah, I got it right here. Terry Camilleri.
Okay.
He's a Maltese, born Australian actor.
Okay. He was what I loved about his character. He might actually be the most fun character in this entire movie. Is the fact that he is an absolute prick, just like the real Napoleon.
That's what makes Deacon's line so great. He was a dick.
Yeah. Oh, it's just great. He can't stand losing. He cuts in line at a water park. And by the way, ever I see that word, I do pronounce it water. I've also on occasion done the Ziggy Piggy. I did it actually when we had the kitchen sink at Beaches and Cream.
Mm-hmm.
At Disney. Ziggy Piggy, Ziggy Piggy.
Exactly how embarrassed was Autumn?
She got the reference. Neither of the kids did, but yeah, no, he's a fun character. And the fact that anytime anybody proves him wrong about something, he clears the board.
Yeah. And when the girl and him next were going for the same ice cream, he just like blocked her spoon.
Yes.
Going in, and then the table lick at the end. It's probably cleaner than anything he's used as a plate in the last. Like,
that's very, very true. And it was, again, it's fun.
Yes,
it's a fun movie. It's hard for me to find really, and other than my issues with the music, just because I'm a music nerd.
Yeah.
And it's just like you just needed a consultant. That's all you needed was a consultant.
And I do love the fact that there really isn't a villain outside maybe Ted's dad, but even that was.
Oh, he's just kind of an antagonist.
Yeah. Yeah, there was no villain. There was just these two kids trying to pass their history exam by going through time.
Exactly. And here's a bunch of obstacles we're going to throw in their way because Ted can't set his damn watch.
Even after he minded himself.
Dummy.
By the way, how many times have you used 69, dudes?
Never.
I'm so
I don't know. It's honestly though, like for me, it's like being, over the age of 30 and using the word boner regularly. So it's just like I'll use it occasionally, but only when I know that I've got the sting factor there. Or use the word pork as a verb. I'm a grown ass man now. I don't need to do that.
But you can, because you should.
I can. Just because I can doesn't mean I should, though.
Oh,
it's all about coulda, not shoulda.
I think we kind of got lost the topic here.
I think so. I think, honestly, I mean, this movie is, again, it's a lot of fun to watch. It's, it's not a personal favorite of mine, but I know it's a personal favorite of yours, which is, where it really counts.
Like I said, I can, there have been times when I was like stuck greeting at the door on at Verizon and just bored for hours on end. So I just play Bill and Ted's and Star Wars over in my head.
Yep. That's all you could do. And we never ended up renting any of those movies through the FiOS pay-per-view beforehand.
No.
God forbid. They took those away, by the way. But they told us to stop. But overall, again, this is a fun movie. Now, I haven't gone back to watch. Bogus Journey is also available on Amazon and Showtime right now. I watched Bill and Ted on Showtime.
I might have to check that out because it has been a very long time since I've seen Bogus Journey.
Yeah.
I remember
just did a mini episode on that.
I know it's not. For me, it was definitely a step down from the first one, but it is certainly not without merits. I mean, Death is absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah, no, he is excellent in that, and I actually did see that one in the theater. So, but I haven't seen Face the Music yet, and there's no excuse for me not to have seen Face the Music, because I mean, what's that?
Same here. I still haven't watched it either.
I mean, it hit. I want to say it hit Epix, and then Amazon for a while, but I never got around to watching it. Now it's like not streaming anywhere where I can just sit and watch without having to pay for it. I'm not doing that. You can't get me.
I'm sure it'll pop up somewhere.
Eventually, it will pop back up, and then maybe now I'll finally watch it. Now that and I'll be honest, up until recently, I haven't had that appreciation for Keanu Reeves that most people have. Again, I know he's a great guy, but I'm the only person living on this earth who did not care for The Matrix.
No, okay. I watched it much later because I never saw it in theater. I rented it on DVD at some point and watched it, and it's a fun movie, but people are just losing their shit over it, and it's not that great.
I will attest, it is the only actual film series where subsequent movies ruined the original for me. God damn you, Revolutions.
Yeah, because I didn't see Matrix in theaters. I did see Matrix Revolutions in theaters. Oh wait, no. Was that with the second one?
Reloaded is the second one. Revolutions is the third one. The third one is what destroyed me from everything. I mean, the second one is just like, my head hurts. I want to go home. The third one was just like, I should have gone to see Elf.
Yeah. I saw The Matrix on DVD. I saw Matrix Reloaded in theaters. I have never seen Revolutions and never seen the last one, and I don't fucking care.
Yeah. No, from everything I've heard, the Revelations is the last one, and it kind of comes across as being like Space Jam: A New Legacy for adults. Makes three of us. I guess I just don't get it. Yep. Thank you. I don't feel so alone. But also, in the John Wick stuff, took me forever to get into. And the only reason why I did it is Jim, our friend Jim, was like, listen, I know you're not the biggest Keanu Reeves fan, and as long as you can ignore his terrible acting in these movies, they're a lot of fun. And they are a lot of fun. Just like Bill and Ted, all it really is are action sequences built around expendable lives and Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves just kills without mercy, and it's fun to watch. They're well shot, but again, just like I said about Bill and Ted, it's kind of like it's a bologna sandwich, but it's a fun bologna sandwich. It's that good bologna sandwich.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of his movies. I saw Speed, and it's a really fun movie. It's not one I go back to all that regularly, but whenever I do see it, I have a lot of fun with Speed.
I like Speed a lot. I saw Speed in the theater. I really enjoyed it. It's interesting because it doesn't count on a high body count.
No.
I think that it's maybe 10-ish people die, and I'm including all the cops that blew up in that building with Jeff Daniels, rather.
Yeah. I've actually seen a meme of that. It showed a picture of Jeff Daniels' face right before it blows.
Yeah.
And just like the ultimate look of someone that knows they fucked up.
Overall,
this.
This is a fun movie. Keanu puts out quality brain can't. That's a great way of putting it, Daddy.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's quality brain candy. I'm going to stop using bologna sandwich and using that one from now on. Thank you. That's a really good way of putting it. And again, I'll attest that with Bram Stoker's Dracula, it is the most spectacularly miscast movie ever.
Yeah.
And somehow it works, but you have to understand that going in, that you have got a physically and mentally exhausted Winona Ryder and a physically and exhausted Keanu Reeves coming into this movie. Everybody who was in that movie was exhausted after a lot of other work. They weren't bringing their A game.
But Gary Oldman.
Man. But yeah, no, again, I like this. I will watch it again at some juncture, but we don't have to review it again because we already did. Now we can check this one off our list. And so, Mike, we've got another week in September.
Yes. Before
we start hitting the Halloween stuff. So, we're not going to reveal the name of the movie.
No.
And we're not technically revisiting,
right,
but we're going to hit a blind spot from something that happened earlier in the month.
Yeah.
It's up to you to figure out what that is. You will know when we announce it next week.
Yes.
So, we want to know, what are your thoughts on Bill and Ted's excellent adventure? You can leave a polite comment below. We want to know your thoughts on that. Give this video a big thumbs up because it helps us in the algorithm, and hit that subscribe button because we do this all the time. Every week we've got a new video retro release, retro review. We also, Mike and I, host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts. So iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, we are there. We do not get ads. So if you've been getting a lot of Fiji Airway ads in your podcast feed, you don't have to deal with that with us. Nobody wants to give us money.
No, they don't.
So you can check that out there. Also, throw us a 5-star review on iTunes, and give us some positive love here on YouTube if you haven't already. It really helps us out in the algorithm, and tell your friends about it. If you want to follow us on the socials, we are at Facebook on Geek Salad Podcast, and on Twixter, dead naming Twitter. Blue Sky.
Unless they start charging, in which case we will no longer.
Oh, yeah. The second they're like, you've got 5 days to pay us.
Gone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just. You see? No. I can't even do that. There we go. There. Take that, Elon. So we are at Twitter. We are at Blue Sky, and we are at Threads at Geek Salad Radio. And until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful and be excellent to one another.